With us right now is Union Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia. Mr. Scindia, thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. In the last few days, you've also spoken about how the government does not want a duopoly in the telecom sector. Now, when it comes to the revival plans for Vodafone, what is on the government's agenda right now?
So first of all, I would like to correct your statement. I do not think a duopoly is healthy in any sector. And also within Telecom Parikshit, you'll understand that there are multiple verticals. My comment was at the Wi-Fi broadband International Wi-Fi Day. And my comment was in context with any vertical within the telecom sector. Be that as it may, as you have chosen the mobile vertical within the telecom sector, let me say this, that there are very few countries in the world that have 4 players within a particular market. And India happens to be one of those very few outliers in the world which has 4 players in the market. Each one of our players have upwards of 90 million subscribers or 100 million subscribers, be it from BSNL at 91 million subscribers to Jio at 390 million subscribers. So across the whole range. I do believe that the amount of capex that has been put in the telecom sector in India stands out as a paragon across the world. Today, the telecom sector across the world is going through huge amounts of rationalization, and the return on capital employed across the sector in the world the numbers have been dipping very, very quickly. It's only in India that you're seeing a robust return on capital employed, which is why our telcos have deployed almost close to about 4.5 lakh crores, putting in place the 5G network in India. So whether it's the government-owned BSNL or any private sector company, it is for the management in these companies to decide on their strategy and their path to profitability. As far as BSNL is concerned, the department can only give them guidance, vision, strategy inputs. Ultimately, it is the management of that particular company that delivers. And in our case, BSNL has seen a huge turnaround story, one that we are seeing today occurring after 18 years. Okay. To answer your question directly, as far as Vodafone is concerned, that is for the management and Vodafone to decide, and not for me as government to decide. Right.
But when it comes to further equity conversion, I think you've said earlier also that it's not as possible.
There cannot be. There possibly cannot be further equity conversion unless the government share gets diluted to lower than 49% to enable us to increase it back to 49%. Because we can't increase it beyond 49%, because the minute you do that, then it becomes a PSU, which is not our intent.
But are there other options being considered?
At this point of time, the equity option, increasing the equity option is not an option. As far as other options are concerned, there's not much discussion happening at this point. If there is, we will let you know.
Analysts have said that 2-year deferment of Vodafone AGR dues is the most possible thing that the government could do.
That is, as I said to you again, that is not for us to decide. That is for the management of the company to decide.
Right. Now, also,
I do not happen to be the CEO of Vodafone, and neither do I happen to be the CEO of BSNL.
Okay. My final question on Vodafone before we move on to other issues. It is also being said that if Vodafone collapses as a going entity, then you'll not be able to recover the dues. Will the government allow that situation to happen?
So I see that you're trying every angle to get an answer from me. I do not answer hypothetical questions.
Okay. Let me also ask you about Bharti Airtel. Now, Bharti Airtel has also applied and made an application to you for equity conversion. The government seems to be considering this. What's your view right now? Has a call been taken?
The Department of Telecommunications is evaluating it. Once they evaluate it and they bring it up to me, then I shall exercise a view based on the analysis that has been done.
Right.
At this point of time, they have not brought it up to me.
Right. But your view, basically whatever you do, whether it's for Bharti or Vodafone, will have to be done on a broad-based basis for everyone. So for the larger health of the sector, what would be your message?
So I will have a view once there is an analysis that has been done within the DoT. Every telecom operator within the ambit of that prescriptive nature of the rule has a right to ask us for conversion of their dues into equity of the company. That's the right that Bharti has exercised. And now that they have submitted their application, it's being examined by the department.
All right. Speaking about satellite...
That being said, it will have to be examined not only by DoT, but it will also have to be examined by Ministry of Finance.
Right. Speaking about satellite communications, the DoT is yet to take approval or yet to approve TRAI's recommendations on spectrum for satellite communications. By when do we expect a decision?
So TRAI has submitted their recommendations to us only in early May. And the DoT is now examining those recommendations. And we are in dialogue with TRAI. It's important for DoT and TRAI to have that conversation and that dialogue. Normally, the process on a reference does take a couple of months. Hopefully, in a couple of months, that should be through.
That should be through. Some industry bodies have also raised concern about the pricing of spectrum for satellite communication companies. How would you respond to those concerns?
Concerns with regard to what?
About low pricing.
Well, please remember that I am quite confident that TRAI has taken into account, and they've had multiple stakeholder meetings. You cannot price spectrum in the same manner for satellite as you do for telecom, for mobile. And the reason for that is very clear. Satellite spectrum is a shared asset. And therefore, a shared asset spectrum cannot be priced in the same manner as a dedicated spectrum. The laws of physics combined with the laws of economics are very clear on that principle. Ultimately, it is TRAI, because that is the regulatory body that decides the pricing of spectrum, which is mandated, and they have taken into account everyone's considerations, and they'll come out with a ruling on that.
Right. Speaking about Starlink, you've met representatives of Starlink over the last few months. They've got one approval from the government. InSpace is waiting for them to respond to their draft, and they may give an approval soon. But finally, how long would it take to clear the decks for them to operate in India?
Well, I think that the process is on. They have to get permission for their satellite Earth gateways to be located in India. They've got to get in-space permission. They've got to get security clearance. And then they have to get spectrum. These are the major 4 milestones, if you will, to be able to operate in India. I am of the opinion that the sooner my SatComm companies operate, and by that reference I mean not only Starlink, whether it's OneWeb or it is Reliance Jio, I'd like them to offer services as soon as possible in as many areas as possible, so that there is a fair degree of competition for those that are not connected. And I see that happening, as I said, in the next couple of months. This process should get ironed out.
So by the end of this year, it should be well on track?
Hopefully, but that depends. Please understand that depends on each one of these companies as well, because the quicker they respond to issues with different regulatory authorities, the quicker the permission will be given. It's not something that's dependent on government alone.
Right. Is that the reason why the Tech Adoption Fund, which was launched by InSpace recently, that becomes all the more important?
Absolutely. TDDF is very important for us from a satellite perspective, from a 6G perspective, from an AI perspective, from an IoT perspective. And version 1.0 has already financed almost about 100 or greater proposals, over about 200 crores. We've also got multiple other proposals that we've looked at. And so therefore the Technology Development Fund is a very important piece of that puzzle.
Speaking about the MTNL default and a possible relief package, MTNL has defaulted on loans to the tune of over 8,000 crores. We believe the Cabinet Secretary also took a meeting recently to look at various options to revive it. What's the path to revival?
No, there's no question of path of revival, because as of 1st January 2025, all operations of MTNL have been transferred to BSNL. So BSNL is now the operator for MTNL's customers. So what there is in MTNL is the bank debt and the government equity. So the bank debt needs to be renegotiated with the banks. The process is being done by the Ministry of Finance. And then there are assets within the MTNL balance sheet which need to be divested. And once that is done, then pari passu, a squaring up exercise will happen.
Right. I would also like to ask you about BSNL. Now, you've been focusing on BSNL's growth and profitability. What would be your outlook on the financial health of BSNL going forward?
So that's a good question, Parikshit. After 18 years, we've been able to turn BSNL around. And I think that is a huge move in itself. And let me give you a little bit of a picture of what we've been able to achieve over the last calendar year, the last 12 months. We have increased revenue from financial year 23-24 to 24-25 by roughly about 8%, from roughly about 20,000 crores to about 21,900 crores. Our EBITDA numbers have been extremely promising and extremely healthy. From an EBITDA of close to 2,146 crores in FY 23-24, our EBITDA this fiscal FY 24-25, historical earnings, has grown to 5,395 crores. So there's been a 150% increase in operating profit. As far as net profit is concerned, we had a net loss last year, 23-24, of approximately 5,300 crores. That has been shaved down by 55% in one fiscal alone to about 2,150 crores. So it has been a metamorphic change within BSNL. Q3 last year, we turned profitable for the first time in 18 years. The last time you had a quarterly profit was in 2007, which is 18 years ago. We posted a profit of 260 crores. Q4, Jan to March, we posted a profit of 282 crores. So top line has grown very healthily. All three lines of business, mobile, FTTH, enterprise, all have grown between 7 to 9%. So there's been top line growth. There's been cutting of costs. You've seen a turnaround on bottom line. And most importantly, since its existence, and I believe it's been about 24-25 years that BSNL was corporatized, this has been, the past fiscal has been the largest capex year. We have been able to spend 25,000 crores across multiple fora in terms of our initiatives. 4G rollout is on track. We've, as on date, installed 95,000 sites. We have commissioned close to 75,000 sites. We are now going to ensure the robustness of the software and the core network, and that rollout is on track. In terms of looking at predictions going forward, I do believe that BSNL will increase its value proposition. I think there will be a healthy revenue uptick. We've transferred close to about 1.87 crore out of our 9.1 crore customers onto 4G. We've increased our customer numbers for the first time after 18 years from 8.5 crores to 9.1 crore customers. But there will be a huge overhang of depreciation this coming fiscal. And the reason for that is the deployment of this 25,000 crores of capex. So our depreciation cover, if you take a rough straight line SLM method of roughly about 10%, your depreciation cover will go up by almost 2,500 crores this year, which will certainly hit the bottom line. It's not a cash outgo, it's not a cash payout, but it'll definitely hit the bottom line. But I'm hopeful that on an operating basis, we will be as healthy as we are this year or healthier, with close to a 5,395 crore cash flow position on an operating basis.
All right. Thank you for giving us a big update on BSNL. I'd also like to ask you about the full-scale commercial 4G rollout of BSNL. I
just answered that question. We've rolled out all 95,000 towers. We've installed them all. We've commissioned 75,000 towers. We are now looking at strengthening the core network so that we can deliver a value proposition to our customers. And once the robustness of the 4G network is in place, we've already put in an order for another 22,000 towers. We will need a large capex program going forward as well to replace our media and our batteries, to also increase our number of towers, because just with 120,000 towers, roughly, you can't support such a huge network. So we will need more capex to put in place more towers. And once that is done, we will also start now switching to 5G from 4G.
So two short questions. P. Chidambaram has put out a statement saying a duopoly in the telecom sector is not healthy. The government should allow a large foreign firm to take over Vodafone. What would be your response to that?
I've already responded to that in your first question, that we don't have a duopoly in our country. We have four players.
Okay. And finally, you've also spoken about the need to allocate spectrum and not auction it. Could you give us a rationale as we end this interview?
Well, I've said that very clearly. If you look at the laws of physics, any spectrum that is shared physically cannot be auctioned. How do you auction something that's shared? You don't. And if you look across the world, every country in the world today administratively assigns spectrum for satellite. There's no country in the world that auctions spectrum for satellite. So I don't understand where these arguments have been coming from and where these vested interests have been arguing from. And I'm very glad to see that some of these interests today are now tying up with SatComm companies to become partners.
Right. Any priority that you'd like to leave us with?
My priority is my customers. I'm company agnostic. I am customer centric. And my priority is to be able to give choice to my customers. My priority is to be able to give quality to my customers. And my priority is to be able to ensure that our customers get full connectivity, because today communications and the digital highway is not a highway alone. It is a connector for tremendous economic opportunity across the globe. And that's the dream of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which in our department we hope to put in place sooner rather than later.
All right, Minister Scindia, thank you so much for speaking to us here on CNBC TV 18. This was a far-reaching interview on all the issues that the telecom sector has been grappling with. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you so much.